say that it's good to come to Femina Potens and read After the Neighborhood Genius. Neighborhood right now. I want to read you a story, and almost every word of it is true, called Becoming the Goddess. It's in this book that I edited called Whipped, which you can't find anywhere because it has a DVD in it that I had nothing to do with that might have some dubious content. Anyway, my awesome friends wrote good stories. Today I am a goddess. I have access to an awesome wellspring of sexual power. I know I am beautiful, and I understand exactly why someone would desire to deliver her or himself into my hands to say, as my very first slave did, anything to please you, mistress. But I have not always been this way. I know only a few women who seem born to their own power, with the ability to control and master appearing in them so early that it shocks everyone around them. Like my friend Jay, who tied up little boys when she was 7 years old and charged them $1 to do it. A poor doll. But if anything, I was the other kind. I remember so clearly the bitter taste of lying in my lover's arms, wishing she would take control of me, push me through the intensity of her desire into a place where nothing existed but her strength and my need to serve her. But she was too afraid, and for many years so was I. I was shy, in fact, especially sexually, as so many women are trained to be. I compensated as best I could, first by becoming an academic in control of dry information. Still, I burned to bring the knowledge to life so I could teach and inspire others, before my life's path led me to devote myself to, this. I researched the goddess, whom I so needed, yet whom so eluded me. I arranged to give a lecture at the university, Discovering the Great Goddess. It was listed in the paper. A week before it was to be held, my phone rang. Miss Queen, the voice began. What an extraordinary name. I'm so intrigued by the topic of your speech next week. I have only recently moved to the area, and I have been on this quest myself. I thought perhaps I had here an overly friendly pagan man wanting to connect with others like himself. If so, I could refer him to 2 or 3 circles, whose members might let him come along during the next full moon ceremony, honoring the Great Mother at the height of her power. Maybe he could find himself a coven. But Steve had another sort of worship in mind. He could not have been more polite, yet it became clear that he was inviting me to do things sexual, things I did not do, especially from the top. I knew enough about SM to know what Steve was proposing. He asked to come and serve me. In fact, by the phone call's end, he begged me. Perhaps some women, faced with a willing submissive, can blossom immediately into their power. What kept me on the line with him did not seem to be that kind of awakening. Instead, though I did not say so, I burned with compassion for him. He had moved to this college town from San Francisco. He had left his mistress behind. He could find absolutely no community to embrace him. There was no internet yet, and while today there is a thriving little SM club in that small city, the year I met Steve, it had not yet been formed. I did not want Steve to come and worship me, but I was alone. The woman to whom I had so yearned to give my whole soul had stopped touching me, and we had parted. I didn't draw the line at fucking men, but that didn't matter because Steve had not called wanting to fuck. I told him to come to my lecture, and after it was over, to introduce himself to me. I knew something about SM, but not enough to anticipate Steve in the flesh. Now I know how many men like him seethe with desire no outsider could ever recognize. But that day, I was surprised when he approached me. I still imagine some willowy pagan man, an eternal boy in search of the cosmic mother. What I got instead was an ex-Marine with a devil dog tattooed on his bicep. And despite a deferent and deeply polite manner, a scary, bearded visage. Though not tall, he had a back muscled enough to strain the fabric of his t-shirt. He looked like a biker. But he whispered as he shook my hand, "Please, mistress, please let me serve."